All right, we're live. Hey, folks, welcome to Affiliate Nerd Out. I am your host, Dustin Howes, spreading that good word about affiliate marketing. And today's webinar is dedicated to helping equip content creators with the right questions to ask brands to help evaluate if they are going to be a right fit for you. And our goals in this webinar are going to be number one, educate influencers on the questions to ask brands, share usable, negotiable tactics, explain the benefits of flexibility in your media kit prices, and helping influencers recognize whether or not a deal is a good deal and performance deal is the right move for you. And joining me today are three incredibly knowledgeable people in the influencer slash affiliate overlap space. Starting off with the director of client partnerships over at Team Bespoke is Joey. Welcome in, Joey. I'll get to introductions in a second. Let me introduce the rest of you. Growth marketer extraordinaire for brands like Home Chef and Chumps. It's Korina Sanchez over here. And founder, CEO of Spark Partnerships, Christen Evans. Let's start with some quick introductions about who you are, and we'll get started with Kristen. You take the reins.
All right. Thank you, bud. Yeah, Christen Evans, CEO and founder of Spark Partnerships. I've been in the affiliate space for about 12 years. Started as a content creator myself. So definitely come equipped to this one with a little bit of a unique view, considering I had to be on the negotiation side and learn some of my tactics that way. And now I manage brands across affiliate marketing, across different verticals, and really love working with content creators. So always want to help set you guys up for success as much as possible and give you the tools that you need to be able to succeed, basically.
Excellent. And Karina?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Korina Sanchez. I have been in the partnerships and growth marketing space for 9 years now. Started on the more traditional affiliate space, but have evolved a lot of my experience to the content creator side, performance influencer side. So, again, crucial parts to a lot of the marketing landscapes that I'm working with across brands that I service. I'm really excited to share hopefully some helpful insights. And again, I think the key is getting everybody set up for success. So excited to be here.
Beautiful. Thanks for joining us. And Joey, round us out.
I'm Joey Asselson. I've been in the partnership marketing space for about 10 years now. So right smack dab in the middle of the pack with Korina and Kristen. I'm the director of client partnerships at Team Bespoke, and I've served on both the agency side and brand side of things. And creators and content creators across the board have played such an important role in all of my programs and all of the work that I do. And just excited to be here to continue to move our space forward and to help those who need it and to provide some insights that maybe they don't have.
Excellent. All right. And for those of you joining us live in the chat, you can add a comment and it'll come up on our message board. Ask any questions you like. This is interactive and meant to be a conversation. And we'll start off with Joey. And this is your child. This is your idea of a topic for a webinar. You came to me and I was very excited to hear about it and wanted to do it. So tell us about your idea, how this came about.
Yeah, absolutely. So those of us in the affiliate space have been very aware of kind of some of the, I guess it's been dubbed the Honeygate of it all, and some of the drama that's been happening with the browser extensions and different partnership models and creators. And we're here not to pick sides. We don't want to share like an opinion on this or that, but we really just I wanted to come to the table. And I think no one was really talking about how to arm creators with the tools that they need to just better partner with brands and to understand the space. And I think there's always going to be this kind of traditional last click model, and that's not going anywhere. While we are seeing a lot of innovation in the space, it'll take a while to adopt. And I don't want to focus on the drama. I just want to focus on some educational pieces and that making sure that everybody is aware of, what they may be up against. There's always going to be a new technology that comes out. There's always going to be a new partner that may be intervening at different points in the customer journey that may be impacting how creators are credited. And so just really talking about how those creators can either work out better deals that are more favorable, knowing what the brands have in play, potentially at checkout or along the way. And then also just educating them on some of the more traditional pieces that come into play with affiliate. Now that we're seeing a lot more upgrade on CPA models or hybrid models and different things like that. So really wanted to come at it from like a middle ground. I don't want to pick sides or direct opinions on anything, but
Joey, I picked you to do this because I want the drama. I want to hear Norby's opinions. That's what we're here for. We have sides all throughout. And of course, you got to be professional and not burn bridges. But today's open conversation is going to be about opinions. And everyone here is managing partnerships in some kind of capacity, mostly from the brand side. We do the outreach to potential partners out there and we negotiate with the interested parties. And we choose to then book a call or do it through email, depending on their preference. And our job is to create that value proposition. So I want to start my first question here with Korina. What are those key details that the influencers need to know around affiliate marketing and the purchase cycle?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that comes along with affiliate marketing is understanding the purchase cycle, right? And for each vertical, each product, each service, everything's different. So I think educating yourself with what does that consumer journey actually look like to get to purchase with things like I've been in D2C services, for example, at Home Chef. And for example, people are exploring all of their options. There is not one direct path to purchase. So understanding, is there research involved in this product or category that you're working with? And just knowing what you're up against in order to provide. Do we need to be educating? Do we need to be super direct response sales focused and super discount focused? So I think asking questions to brand managers or representatives of each brand is really saying, hey, I'm interested, but what exactly does this consumer journey look like? What do you typically see? Is there research required? What does that understand better, really, like what consumers are looking for, because that can help you create the proper roadmap, content strategy to get people to that actual inflection point of purchase.
Thoughts, Joey, Kristen?
Joey, you go ahead. Otherwise, I'm going to jump in.
Go for it. Go for it.
So yeah, I think one of the things that creators really need to be aware of is what their role is in that purchase path, and that having an understanding of that, because typically creators are more of a discovery partner. That's where you're going to get your introduction to the brand. That's where you might receive some of the education. And if you're really looking at the sales funnel from top down, creators are going to sit at the top, which means there are a lot of other potential affiliate partners that could come in after them. And we hear this term a lot. I don't necessarily agree with it, but cannibalize their commission. It's not really cannibalization, but it's probably a lack of protections to help those partners be able to succeed in the path to conversion. And understanding that there are ways for brands and for affiliate programs to protect those creators, and then those creators then having that knowledge and being able to ask of their affiliate manager or of their brand manager, what protections do you have to ensure that I'm getting the commissions and I'm getting the credit over, say, a coupon site who, might end up being the last click, or a Honey or a loyalty partner who, is generally part of a consumer's journey, because especially right now, everybody wants to save a buck. Let's be real. But how can those creators be armed with everything they need to be able to not only have the introduction, but then also the education piece, and then finally that path to conversion? And that can look like landing pages, codes, etc. But they need to know that's something that they would need in order to have that brand relationship be successful for them.
Totally. And I think to quickly interject, it's never one touch point. And I think all of us just have to understand that. Some of these brands have such robust marketing landscapes when it comes down to the top of funnel. So somebody might hear about a brand on a podcast, or maybe they're doing streaming TV and something that's super, very awareness focused just the first time somebody's laid their eyes on a specific brand. And you might fall in that second or third touch point, but just knowing along the lines of, one, what's out there, really driving that awareness, where you fit. And regardless, I've found that working with content creators in any grand scheme of things multiple touch points is always going to be best, because the more that people see your affiliation and your affinity with brands that you love, the lower you're driving them in this conversion funnel that we all talk about as marketers. So I think just opening our minds up also to understanding there's always going to be more than one step, one touch point to get to that path to purchase. And you may play one part or two parts, you may play three, but there's a lot of opportunity out there, especially given how robust the media landscape has just gotten and how brands are investing.
And tracking solutions out there today are giving you that flexibility as well to do multiple attributions. Joey, any other thoughts on this topic?
Yeah, no, just to that point, exactly. Like, there's just a lot, there's so much at play out there. And I think creators are really maybe unaware of that, or just never think to ask those questions. And that is entirely fair. Many creators don't have the visibility that the affiliate agencies or the partnership agencies do into the overall marketing mix. And some of them haven't. You only get that visibility if you've actually sat in-house at a brand, or you sat on the agency side of things. There's so many things that I have learned over the years that brands do that if I were on the outside, I would have no idea. And so just really inquiring and understanding those touch points, I think will really allow you to understand the overarching marketing mix, and then also help you tailor and understand what you're up against. Are you agreeing to something only on a CPA basis, knowing that this brand has about 17 other things that could potentially interfere at that point of sale? But then also knowing that you can ask for maybe something up front, or to have your metrics be held to a different standard. And I think we'll talk about some other different ways that you can show and prove your value. But knowing those items up front will better allow you to have those discussions down the line, because the internal team may always come to you with the same cookie cutter agreement that they give to every single person. And that's okay. There might be an ambassador program, it might be at scale. There's going to be 100 partners that they're talking to. So you are absolutely within your power to ask questions.
Great.
Should.
Yeah, let's get started into those questions. What are some of these questions that influencers should be asking those brands?
Yeah, I think one of the first ones is, what protections do you have in your affiliate program for content partners so that they earn commissions over any lower funnel partners? That often is verbiage like conversion lines or attribution rules. Everybody's a little bit different. We all like to pretend that we're discoverers of new verbiage these days, but basically asking about like attribution protection for content creators in the case of bottom of funnel partners coming in and having that last click, because the majority of affiliate programs are still set up on last click. It's still very much I don't want to say it's preferred, because I don't prefer it. It is, no. Yeah, it's like the standard. And so understanding that as a content creator, you are going to be a little bit more awareness focused, which is top of funnel. How do you earn those commissions? What protections do they have in place? Are they using attribution rules or conversion lines in order to do leapfrog, split commissions, etc.? But just knowing that as a question, first and foremost, will help you understand how to better negotiate kind of your rates and whether you want to do a flat fee or CPA only.
Right off the top of my head, one thing that I rarely get asked when working with creators is, do you have always credit rules for promo code usage? That is a very basic tool that a lot of tracking networks have, that where if that code is used, it'll trump that last click and allow you to earn that credit. And right off the bat, that's a very simple one. It takes 2 seconds to set up. Some brands are even doing it automatically in the background, but some have the capability and maybe haven't investigated it, or if they're just launching a program, it may not be part of their standard guidelines. But even right off the bat, that's a very simple one to ask, first and foremost.
Yeah, and it goes by different names too, like vanity code tracking, right? And if that is overlapping the last click attribution, or which one's getting credit, super important question. Good call. Korina, what about you?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of conversations also happening now around vanity URLs that brands are taking advantage of, which essentially will always credit you for the use of your code, but it also will auto append. And really all that means is auto apply your code in cart so that you actually can share your link and be credited for both the use of a manual code or that link. And I think a lot of brands are moving towards that from one, overall protection and I think legitimacy of use. But I would ask a lot of questions around that since it's definitely a hot topic of conversation where they're used in other channels as well. If you are a podcast listener, you'll always hear xyz.com/ and whatever the name of that show is. So I would ask about some of those custom parameters as well. I work with many brands that actually lean on that strategy and it cleans things up super nicely and definitely favors and supports content creators.
Yeah, brands that are using Shopify headless especially are really in a good position to be able to utilize that. As for brands out there, really consider that as far as working with some of your upper funnel partners. The other thing I really love about that is it does help create that affinity that like a co-branded landing page typically does. Like it really takes that exclusive deal or a co-branded page to a whole nother level and really creates that unique experience, but also again ties back into that affinity, which I think is so important when it comes to building up creators' credibility and ensuring that those sales really are accredited to them as well.
Great calls, great questions that they should be asking. I think it's super valuable for each influencer to come to calls, especially the opening ones, with statistics that they have or like case studies of some sort. What statistics should they be coming to the call with, in your guys' opinion?
I can jump in here. I feel like so many creators are so used to partners asking for proven performance and things like that. So if you are active on a ShopMy or an LTK or a Levanta or an Amazon creator, share any of those statistics that you can. I think they're so helpful, especially as brands are turning to content creators and influencer marketing now really as this direct response channel. It really helps paint a picture of essentially your ability to sell, and long term, that's really what brands are looking for. I would say outside of that, and I recommend this to all content creators that I work with, is there's so much more value in working with content creators than just the conversion. And I know you as content creators know that, but us as brand managers or affiliate managers, we're also selling this to our clients, and brand managers are trying to sell this to their internal leadership teams. Share any of your social engagement metrics, because if you are somebody that garners a ton of impressions and a ton of engagement and you can back into something more standardized like a CPM or a CPE, so cost per engagement, cost per impression, if you can back into some of these metrics and prove that working with content creators is actually more efficient than other media channels, it creates an entirely new conversation of where you fit in the mix and opens up new agreements for compensation, whether that's flat fees or performance based on impression volume or engagement. So I would say as much as you can provide, and whether that's you keep track of it in a super nice, beautiful media kit, or you can just provide screenshots of your back end of Instagram and TikTok,
Right.
all are super helpful. Again, I think from the brand side, a brand manager, when you're trying to sell efficiency, some of that can really come into play and support these programs even more than, again, just the direct conversion. So I would say as much as you can share from the social engagement side of things, it's so valuable.
Yeah, agreed with that. And obviously, like the general metrics of how many followers, all of those things. I definitely think the conversion metrics are really helpful. And again, yes, if you're using LTK, if you're using any of those kind of automated, and if you're not, one great way to start is to use skim links, and you can test into a bunch of brands and test into a bunch of conversions like that. I know LTK has a rather large barrier to entry for a lot of creators. And when you're just starting out, that can be really difficult. Skim links doesn't have that kind of large barrier to entry. It's a lot more accessible for you to begin testing out kind of your performance metrics with brands on a very data-driven basis. But I would also say any case studies that you have, or just even examples of work with past brands or partnerships where, you can kind of exhibit your opportunity of storytelling and your capabilities there. Because to Karina's point earlier, it is sometimes a lot more about like how helpful that awareness can be and like the engagement and all of that. And even if it's not going to drive conversions, just having that kind of greater net of that halo effect can really be so beneficial for a brand in a way that will drive future conversions and will drive future opportunities.
I think also just to cap this off in regards to like questions to ask brands, whether they're existing, new, older partners, if you're ever working with partners directly and they're just providing you with a discount code that isn't through an affiliate network or isn't through an influencer technology platform, always ask them for recaps of your performance. They can easily pull a Shopify report and say, hey, you've had X amount of conversions or you've driven X in revenue. Again, for your own personal records, like being able to sell yourself is so important. So if you're ever feeling like you're lacking some of that data because maybe some of these brands aren't working with some of the traditional networks, don't hesitate to reach out. It's usually a really easy report pull. So again, advocate for yourself and always ask for that data if you don't have it at your fingertips.
100%.
Excellent. Way to round that out. Let's move on to our next topic, and that's the space of sponsorship versus affiliate versus hybrid, and what's the right solution for both the brand and the influencers. So how do agencies, consultants like yourself, how do we get started with asking brands for exploratory budget for these kinds of potential sponsorships?
Yeah, when I'm onboarding a brand, I always ask that they set aside additional budget. It's not always possible, especially I work with a lot of brands that are just entering the affiliate market and just launching programs. And so sometimes having that budget allocation isn't always feasible. But one of the things that you can certainly do is as you're setting the channel up for efficiency, the brand has a number in mind that they're going to spend on the affiliate program. If you can make it a really efficient program, and be able to reallocate some of that budget based on what their goals are, that's one really easy way to get buy-in from the brand. But as a creator, you're going to want to be aware that not everybody has budget. So what can you do to be able to make sure that it makes sense for you? And as a brand, be aware people want flat fees. And we're not just talking about the Forbes and the Merediths of the world, small creators especially, and especially with the Google updates recently, they need to make sure that they're getting their bag without putting in effort that's not going to have a return on it. It's just like a brand investing in a creator. A creator is also making that investment in a brand, and they're the ones who are putting in a lot of work and a lot of effort. And as we know, because a lot of brands are set up on last click, that may not always pay out for the creator at the end of the day. And so it's in their best interest to have a flat fee or kind of a sponsored hybrid situation in order to ensure that they are able to get their return on that effort.
Yeah, adding in on that, I think this is a perfect segue because those metrics and those different pieces that we talked about in kind of that last section is the exact thing that we need to get that over the line. So we can ask for that 15K, that 20K for that quarter, but then when we want to go and spend it, we're going to have to oftentimes come back with that media kit, with those metrics, really prove it out. That's why that CPM information is so helpful even right off the bat, because we don't have that hard and fast conversion potentially available right there, but we can prove that it might be more profitable than some of the other channels. And so it really just depends on how we discuss those metrics. And so it's just really important to not only have those conversion metrics, but also have those metrics from throughout the funnel so that we're able to go and start things out potentially on that sponsored level. And I think we can shift to an affiliate, more standard partnership once we do see some conversions. And then when it makes sense for everybody, it makes sense. And some creators do generally carry a higher conversion and they're going to know their value in that sense. But especially, as Dustin said, for those smaller creators and Christen as well, it's tough to get right off the bat. They're taking up real estate. If you're a clothing brand and, they want to work with you, that eliminates a lot of other options for them. So brands also need to be aware of kind of the risk that is also being taken on working with them and what they're providing. So if it's flat fees, make sure you could the opportunity to not only offer that, but seeding, gifting, whatever that may be, to help them get that post right off the ground, get that initial content out there, and then potentially reevaluate on a shorter term agreement. But again, really just going back to those initial metrics, I think that's the key piece. When I go back to a brand and say, hey, this is where I want to invest that extraneous money I have been having you hold on to, XYZ can do this, which is more efficient, I bet, than your other paid channels, your display channels, etc.
Totally. And I think overall, brands want to partner with you. And in the end of the day, I think it's about just having the mutual understanding. Everybody's got to have skin in the game. I think us as brand managers, we don't want to have the expectation of content creators putting in all of this time and effort for potentially no return on their end. And it goes back the other way as well, where we want to make sure that our partners are committed and incentivized and excited about our brand too. So I would just say negotiate on things like that. What else can the brand do if it's not maybe flat fees to start off with? Is it a specific gifting budget that they have? I've seen brands do, a 3-month supply of their product, and it's not something rinky dinky $30 product, but work out something that kind of shows that you're really excited about the partnership. Because again, I think everybody wants to feel like they have skin in the game versus it being a one-way street.
And the benefit to that too is that as you do that, like long-term gifting, or you are making those kinds of deposits into the relationship, that is what helps foster that evergreen relationship, which at the end can really turn out to be the most beneficial for people. I know content creators who are still making money off of a post they did 8 years ago because they were able to negotiate those kinds of deep relationships with brands and prove it out over time. And that's really cool. That's really cool. But you have to be able to be set up to get to that point, and just coming equipped with an understanding of where you are in the clickstream, what your capabilities are, but understanding a brand's needs and then managing all of those expectations together is really what's going to get you across the line.
One more thing to just add on it too, just for those that are just starting. Another great thing, and personally I love to see it, is sometimes I'll have a creator come to me with an impression guarantee. Or they will ask, or they will say, hey, my fee is XYZ, but I will dedicate X amount of this flat fee towards amplification on social channels or different things like that. So also take a minute and potentially offer some low risk guarantees there. Oftentimes that can come in the form of a repost or a story to really hit that impression number. But it also backs into some of those metrics too and helps the brand feel more comfortable. At least you can guarantee X number of people will see this. And so there are some other ways to work around it as well if you can't guarantee trade.
It also opens up a lot of creativity for your deliverables. If you're somebody that wants to work on a structure like that, you can test out different formats, whether it's a TikTok or an Instagram story or a reel, and you can get a feel for what actually works for that specific brand or product. So I've, again, to Joey's point, love hearing things like that where, hey, we'll work towards X amount of impressions and it'll be mixed deliverables until we get there. And then you really have some ground to stand on to say, here's actually what worked and what drove this success. And here's maybe what we wouldn't want to focus on later on down the road when you get to a point where you're working on custom scopes of work for deliverables for brands that are an upfront fee. So it really can help level set also what works and what doesn't at a really early stage.
Great calls out there. And going on top of that, I feel like influencers have been drinking this sponsorship Kool-Aid for way too long, and the affiliate side of things is an important value. Having that skin in the game is super important. And in my mind, if an influencer is with less than a 50,000 followers is in the spot asking for sponsorship, that's a red flag unless they have these metrics behind them. And I feel like they should be doing influencer relationships on an affiliate basis. Maybe we can kick them in a little bit hybrid if we really see potential. But in your guys' mind, what is the right time for those influencers to be working on a sponsorship level or starting to ask for sponsorship? Is there a number in your guys' mind?
Not to be super vague, but I think it all really depends. There are sweet spot numbers for every brand. A lot of brands that I work with are they need to have 15,000 followers. That's their sweet spot. But even more than followers, I think, to Korina's point earlier, engagement is so huge. You can have a follower or a creator that has maybe 2,000 people that follow, but if they have a super high engagement rate, that means they have a really dedicated community. And that's likely what's going to help drive a lot of the traffic conversions. So yeah, it's great to have 4 million followers, but if you have a 1% engagement rate, cool. But if you have a really significantly high engagement rate, you have a lot of people that are just having those conversations that come to you for that level of credibility, or come to you for discovery, or because they just really like your taste. That's going to be a lot more impactful to a brand, and then ultimately to that path to conversion and earning money.
Yeah, I fully agree with what Kristen said. I focus almost always on engagement over follower count. At this point, follower count has become such a vague metric. And frankly, like I would say I'm almost always prioritizing engagement rate over followers. So again, it's really what community that you've created and what people are coming to you for that matters. And to what Kristen said, what conversations are being had around the content that you're sharing. So I don't think that I think it used to be set in stone where it was like up to 10,000 followers is micro and up to 50,000. And there were different tiers that you could pay people. And now I have creators in some of my programs that have 100,000 followers that are doing $50,000, $60,000 a month in revenue on really spicy, awesome commission rates. And then I have people with 500, 600,000 followers that are doing like maybe a few $100s in sales for that same brand a month. So it truly comes down to community engagement and what people are coming to you. What are they seeking from your content? So I think asking for follower count at this point, again, we can see how many followers you have.
How are you judging engagement rates, though? How is that metric? Some people might have thousands of likes, but no comments whatsoever. Or what is engagement rate in your mind?
Yeah, so we can all pull those as having social media accounts on the back end. So those are easy metrics to pull. I would say most brands are using some type of social media technology or influencer technology that's pulling in like a standardized formula for that in most cases, right? Without that, there's a lot of standard formulas that you can use to figure that out. But I would say as brand managers, we are looking at comments, we are looking at link sticker clicks, we are looking at kind of each piece. And if you have a ton of comments, amazing, but comment sentiment, think about that. Are these positive conversations that are coming out of these comments? Are they maybe not pro positive? So I think every brand has a different strategy on what they look for and what exact formula or calculation is used to their vetting standards. So I don't think it's streamlined across the board for every brand at this point, but I would say most are using some type of influencer technology or social media technology.
I would say very similar to processing affiliate applications. It's still very much needs the human touch in order to discern the worthiness of a partnership. It's not something that can just be run through AI. It's not something that can be really automated because it is very personal as you're going through. Yeah, there's also the brand affinity aspect of it. Do they fit within the brand like overall avatar? And even if they're a little bit outside, is it a fit? And that's really important for brands. You can think outside the box, but if you think so far outside the box that it doesn't land, that's a problem. If you like when you're going through the followers and if you're seeing like, oh, okay, yes, for instance, like everybody here drinks THC seltzers, then you know that that partner, that influencer is going to be great for that brand. But if it's like a whole bunch of 100% sober and not just Cali sober, like, well, it's not going to be a fit. So just understanding the overall vibe, it's really helpful.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I also like if you're of a certain size and you're asking me for a flat budget for my specific brands, this might sound like harsh, but I also work with a lot of emerging brands and budget is tight. And oftentimes emerging brands are the brands that creators really love. Like I love to see one sale through ShopMy or LTK. Like I love to see that you've already started to potentially organically talk about my brand that I'm managing, or I'm seeing content on there that like maybe already you're wearing a piece of their attire or it's in the background of an image. Like I want to see true, authentic brand authenticity. If I am not reaching out to you to represent the brand, I need to know that is a very solid brand fit for me, especially right out of the gate. And to Dustin's point, I do think maybe there was some Kool-Aid that was drank a while back, and people just got emailed 7 different athleisure brands and decided whoever responds first is like going to be my affinity brand. And to me, when we have these more limited and a bunch of emerging brands with so many different options, like it's really tough. Like I need to see that this is organic and natural, and that's the type of content that we want. Customers are very savvy, and we can shout out the mega influencers for that and these inauthentic partnerships. So it's really easy to spot now if somebody comes to me and I say yes, it's like it doesn't feel great. So if I can go back and see some metrics through one of these more traditional like creator platforms that have happened organically, then that's always a win. So if you're planning to approach a brand, maybe see if you do have availability to promote them before. Test out a post. Could be very simple. See what engagement you get there and share specifics from that. It'll probably cut your back and forth.
Toss a tag. Toss a tag to a brand goes a long way. If you're
Seriously.
somebody that like already
Wonderful.
religiously purchases that product, also bring that up. The amount of times that I've had people come in and be like, I'm a super fan, like I purchase your product all the time. And I can look up names and emails in Shopify and I'm like, you've literally never purchased our product ever before in your entire life. So I would just say be authentic and like true to if you are a brand fan or if you're super interested in a brand, you're like, I have never tried this genuinely before and I'm so interested in what you have to offer or your brand mission. Like, be authentic with how you approach brands too, because it's totally okay. I've worked with so many creators in the past that had never tried brands that I worked with, and it opens up a lot of opportunities. So I would just say, if you are truly a brand advocate, toss a tag on Instagram. Like social teams see that. People will recognize it. It's something for us to go back on and say, they're comfortable with this brand. They've mentioned us before. Or if you're truly somebody that is just getting interested in something that's brand new to you, just tell a brand manager why. Hey, I love what you guys stand for, or I love the quality of your product, or I love the ingredients that you use if it's food and beverage. Like, just be authentic to what your approach is, I would say. I think a lot of influencers receive templated notes and emails, and I totally know that gets messy and it can be see-through at times. And one of the things that I work on with brands is making sure that we're leveraging personalization and talking to you as individuals and not a group. But I would say take that a step further from the creator side. And when you're reaching out to brands, call out what you love about their brand, make it a personalized message because those go so much further. Again, whether you're a core brand user or purchaser already, or maybe you're brand new.
Yeah.
Always said that super fans make some of the best affiliates for sure. And yeah, that's always the way to go. If you love a brand and you're trying to get into the affiliate space or the creator space, go with the brands that you love first. And absolutely, like whether it's through Amazon Associates or Creator or whatever, or if it's through LTK or ShopMy, and you throw up one of those links and then you tag on social, super good foot in the door.
Okay. Awesome. I've got some closing thoughts here. One is like Sponsor Magnet. This is a book from somebody I interviewed, Justin Moore. Great little read here. And it is teaching influencers how to approach brands in the right way with a very concise method of how they're going to drive sales. And reading that book is super beneficial for influencers out there. And it goes against what we want to do in affiliate marketing, but having that mindset of adding affiliate into the back end is super important. Another point of this, though, is one of the most annoying responses I get from influencers that I reach out to from brands is, what's their budget? Like, it's just such a broad and like annoying question of, I don't know. I'm not going to tell you either. What is the right question for an influencer to respond back when you have somebody that's interested in working with you?
Like for them to respond back to the brand?
Yeah, if you're an influencer, what's the right question to ask? It's not, what's your budget? What is the right question?
Yeah, the right question for an influencer to ask is, what are the opportunities that we have to support the content and the efforts that go into the content creation? That's literally just a very fancy way of saying, what's your budget?
Yes.
But also like, even just saying, is their budget available? It reframes that question to see what the opportunities are. And large media does this as well as what's your budget. It literally changes for everybody. There's that. But if there's additional opportunities available, whether it's gifting, seating, whether it's being able to get exclusive codes or a landing page, just what opportunities are available to ensure conversions, and is their budget available to support this?
Yeah, I think also just in the simplest form, like, what are the goals of this campaign? I think understanding that, because again, there's different budgets that align with different campaign initiatives or goals that happen within a brand's ecosystem, asking more so what the goals are and what the deliverables look like. maybe brands aren't necessarily looking for you to post on your own social media platforms. Maybe they're looking for simple UGC that they can use in other places. So I would just get really granular on what are the goals and what are the deliverables that you're looking for. And I think that really nicely opens the conversation of budget without it potentially being so like harsh to a brand manager. Or again, I think it goes both ways because I think as brand managers, we don't always know what the budget is and it always changes every day. So I think it very graciously opens the door to saying there's other options out here. Let's have an open conversation about goals, different types of compensation, whether it's obviously flat fees in dollars, but some type of, is it free product over a certain amount of time? Is it a gift card so you can go and choose whatever you want? Is there a specific campaign initiative so it's going to be one product line? I think opening it up to like goals, deliverables, overall focus, gracious way to ask. And again, get clear-cut alignment, which everybody needs anyways.
Excellent. All right.
And a good example, like to like Korina's point on that, is like you could come to me and ask that. I could say $5K, and that, let's say you're a large creator, and that's below your media kit pricing. Also, just have a media kit. So just know your worth and hold us to that standard as well. Don't let us control your rate per se all the time. Feel also, and I probably shouldn't say that as some.
Don't say it so loud.
Know your worth and know your rate. Don't let us dictate that. But for example, if I came back and said 5K, you could say, oh, sorry, that's below it. Whereas you had asked my goals, I could have told you, and you could have given me those metrics we talked about earlier and actually given me something worth 10K for your media kit pricing, but you would have had an opportunity to explain why it's 10K. And I think corporate America is one of the only places where money actually sometimes does grow on trees. So it can appear like, so
It's true. With the right opportunities, money can appear.
yeah. So don't put it all out there right in front at first.
Great call. All right. Awesome. And we're going to get right into media kits. But first, I want to thank our sponsor of the day, and that is Inflektion. So if you guys don't know what Inflektion is, they are an incredible game changer in the affiliate marketing game, making it for the better, combining affiliate tracking and conversion rate optimization. Brands, affiliates, and affiliate managers can create these beautiful co-branded pages in a matter of 10 minutes. And these landers, they speak to the fans, the audience, of the influencers, customize benefits of the product and what they find valuable. So it includes recognizable faces. It includes accolades. It includes a quote and a closing coupon. All these things help increase the conversion rate over 200% from your basic homepage. These guys are changing the game. Go check out Inflektion, whether you're a brand agency or influencer. We've got tons of brands out there in the health and wellness space. Go to dustinhouse.com/INF or dustinhouse.com/inflection to learn more. As we're talking about media kits, what are the essentials? What, in your mind, what are the essential things that influencers need to be putting on their media kit?
Conversion rates, obviously, follow like all the basic metrics, of course, but conversion rates, performance. An elevator pitch is really helpful. Who are you and why do we care? Not to be mean about it, but yeah, why do we care? Why is this relevant? I really think of media kits as very similar to resumes, where like you should have kind of a live document going in like Canva or PowerPoint or whatever that you can update per brand that you're working with. Back to the personalization point earlier, you're pitching a brand on yourself. Really consider that. What's the relevancy with your audience with that category or with this particular brand? How is it useful in your own life? Have you talked about something adjacent previously where you can pull specific stats, specific screenshots, and share those posts so that the brand can really easily digest it? And I'm a really big fan of having some standard rates in there just for viz, but also having, let's discuss, let's chat, let's have some a la carte options, like explore UGC, explore social whitelisting, all of those different things. Include what your capabilities are, or at least a high level of what your capabilities are. So whether that's like sponsored content, whether it's a newsletter, which I mean, brands love a newsletter. If you have a YouTube channel, like all of those pieces should be visible and easily digestible to brand managers.
Yeah, I think that covers it. I would say my last note on that is know who your audience is. we can know who you are by taking a look at your content, but that doesn't necessarily mean that your audience is a mirror human being of yourself. So I would say just know who your audience is. General demographic information is super helpful. I work with a lot of brands that sell in like the US only, for example. So if you are a Canadian creator and we cannot ship to Canada, we need to know certain things like that. Know who your audience is, know where they are. I think that's super helpful as brands are truly using content creators a lot of time to tap new audiences. So new people that maybe haven't seen your brand before, but also align with their core consumer profile. So just be aware and knowledgeable of who your audience is and include that in your media kits as well.
And then finally, just like adding on, have some images of your content, like some stuff that's performed well, screenshots. I mean, you can even toss in like some top performing that may be relevant to that brand with some engagement rates on that specific post, different things along those lines. I think it's also important to remember, as you've said, and as Christen and Korina have said, this is like your resume or cover letter. It should align with the brand, but also have the format and make it a cool color. Have the design like match like your personality. I think like when we're looking at creators, like that's what makes us excited, especially like we like to see that flair and excitement. Like you different than everybody else, and why are you filling a gap in then like an audience that we need? And I think some simple formatting actually goes like a long ways. So this is fun. Yeah.
I agree. I used to change my resume, the colors on my resume to match the brands that I was applying for. Like every single time I would just change, because I have a couple different places with color on my resume. I would change those colors to match the brand colors. And it worked. I got compliments on it. I think that's how I landed one of the jobs that helped land one of the jobs at Craigjoy, that and Dustin. But yeah, I like a couple hiring rounds. That's what I would do. And that goes such a long way just to catching an eye. And like, it does show that you're paying attention to the brand too, which everybody likes their ego stroked a little bit. So that's just one of the ways that you can really stand out.
Still waiting for my referral check for that Craigjoy job. Evans, as that. I haven't
Keep
been
rating there, Tom.
Should I hold my breath?
Until you turn blue, bud.
All right. Regarding the media kit, what about pricing? None of you mentioned that putting pricing. Christen and I have gone back and forth about arguing the validity of putting your pricing in. I think it's a really good starting point. She does not. What do you guys think?
I think that's mentioned it, but yeah, I think like definitely standard pricing needs to
Standard pricing. Okay.
we said know your worth. Like sometimes a partnership just may not be on the table, and I think that's okay. Like I don't think you should sell yourself short. Put it in.
Yeah, I would say any type of standardized pricing. If you're somebody that's, I do custom deliverables for every client, I would say if your packages for multiple deliverables start at $5,000, that's fine. I would say include that. Time and time again, it saves people time, but I mean, from the affiliate side, like I've had partners seek me as a brand manager and say, hey, like we'd love to work with you on sponsored content. Like our minimum budget is $25,000. Left that sounds great, but like just simply isn't doable right now. So I would say if there's any just like baseline that you can share, again, if you're a creator that is you like to do custom scopes of work, it's all welcome. I would just say create some type of like baseline pricing structure. It doesn't need to be overly detailed. It doesn't need to be super specific, but some type of standardized rate just helps paint a picture for all of us, especially some of us that are, again, managing brands as an agency where we're trying to prioritize bringing opportunities to the brands themselves. So again, standard, simple, nothing too detailed.
You said something the starts at, I think is really a key. Like instead of just putting a flat rate, it needs to be starts at whatever kind of the minimum rate is, because that allows you room for flexibility. That's going to give you the opportunity to come back to a brand and say, okay, based on these goals, based on these deliverables, here's where I can go. But that gives the brand a starting point for expectation management. I would also say put together a couple of options where you could do like a flat rate at this rate and then buffered with a CPA at this rate. And you can go up and down based on kind of the brand or what the possibilities are. Look at the conversion rate of the affiliate program and really do some math and see if you can get your metrics to match up there and see if you can come up with some rates that are really aligned with A, your goals, but B, are approachable for a brand if it's something that you really want to like.
Yeah, as we've said, if this wasn't obvious, like brands are very, or try to be, very like numbers and detail oriented. And without that price point, those metrics we described as must haves don't actually mean a whole lot to us. And they aren't something that we can bump up against anything. And they're not something that we can really prove out or make a case for. So that price is going to come into play regardless. And so it's better to just get it out of the way right up front. And the start at for that is great.
Excellent. This has been great, guys. As we wind down, any final thoughts from you guys on what you want to convey to the influencers listening out there?
I really like what Joey said about knowing your worth, but also being willing to be willing. Sometimes it's a risk for the brand, sometimes it's a risk for the influencer, but being willing to communicate and work together toward the common goal and building that long-term relationship can be really fruitful for everybody in the end. And sometimes the first post or the first couple of posts may not do much. Really consider it in long term. When I'm working with creators, a lot of times I say, let's look at it in a couple different steps. Let's look at it as this is the introductory to the brand. This is your opportunity to educate on the brand. And then this is more of your path to conversion so that you're actually filling that entire sales funnel yourself and then giving them the tools to do it. So just understand what's available for you and make sure that you're asking the right questions. And if you don't know what questions to ask, rewatch this or come ask one of us.
Beautiful.
Love that. I think everything goes back to know your worth, but ask questions. Like if you need something and need to be supported, that's what we're all here for, is to make these partnerships work. And time again, I get emails from partners that we work with, and some people need products. Some people are interested in a performance incentive. Again, proving your worth over and over. Okay, I've secured this rate. What if I exceed this by 10%? Can you increase my commission? Yeah, like the answer is almost always yeah. So just like really push for yourself, advocate, ask questions. If you need to be supported, just know who you need to go to for that. Because truly, I think as much as sometimes it feels as though everybody's goal isn't the same, all of us want long-term partnerships. That's what is the most fruitful and the most successful for everybody. So if you feel as though you need more in regards to support from your brand partners, reach out. Don't hesitate. We can't read. Sometimes we're working with hundreds of different partners. We don't know what everybody individually needs. So please reach out, advocate for yourselves, know your worth, ask for more. The worst that brands can say or no is no, and provide some type of explanation. But I would say just continue to, again, just push forward and ask for what you need.
I think then with that too, like full circle, like everybody said, don't shy away from discussions. Ask about that marketing mix. Ask about what other partners they have intervening on their site or they're working with. Going back to the idea behind this is just don't be afraid to question the brand on are they working with browser extensions that are intervening at checkout? And if they are, that's not per se a bad thing. Maybe then that's the time that you start to have those discussions around doing upfront fees and sponsored content rather than working on an affiliate model. And if they're working on an affiliate model, then feel empowered to say this maybe isn't the best partnership for me at this time, and know that you may be up against something else, and know that you can only work with so many brands and so many verticals, and there are other options out there. So just make sure that you're paying attention to that and asking those right questions. It's not going to offend the brand that you are doing your due diligence. If anything, it's impressive that you are so aware of this larger marketing mix and where you may fall into place there. And I think it builds a lot of credibility for you. And with that too, don't shy away from going back and forth a bit. I think, like Korina said, everybody's goal is the same. They want like the partnership to last. So while it may feel a little bit like you're butting heads or not aligning on something immediately, don't shy away from having those tough conversations, because again, know your worth. Don't let yourself get shot in the foot by not asking these questions up front and finding you're in a self where you've put in a lot of time and effort and you're not receiving what you're supposed to be in.
Great calls. Thank you guys all so much. Joey, Korina, Evans, much appreciated for you being here. We're going to end it today and appreciate you being here. I'll put contact information down below in the comment section. And for all those folks out there, keep on recruiting and we'll see you out there. Take care.